Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It's so good to have all of you here on the Namaste channel. And maybe that's what we should start calling it. This is our Namaste channel, where we live in the experience of seeing that in each other. That's all Namaste is, as we know. We could say seeing the Christ in each other. We could say seeing love in each other. Whatever words you want to use, we know what the experience is. And it's that experience that we're here to continually claim. And we do that every morning here. We do that through each other. Just the strength of this joining. It's like weaving a net. You know, if you were flying on a trapeze, you want to know that that net beneath you is strong. So if you lose your grip, you know that it's going to catch you. And it's the same thing here. In a community like this, we know that the net of grace is going to catch us. And we're building that every day, every session, every time we come together, we're building the strength of this net. And I'm really so grateful to be back. And I want to pick up a little bit from where we left off yesterday. I have a couple of things that I want to share, but just as a recap, if you remember yesterday, we talked about a beautiful parable that Jesus shared 2,000 years ago that I think is one of the most beautiful illustration of this non-dual experience and reality. And I want you to imagine that you're hearing this for the first time. You know, so often, especially if we were raised in this tradition, if we were raised in some kind of a Christian church, we would hear these stories, we would hear these parables. We'd say, oh yeah, that parable or this parable. But we don't really hear them. And sometimes we have to pretend like we're hearing them for the first time to really let it go deep, or to maybe have the experience that those who were listening to him had. So, in this case, Jesus was telling a story, and the real heart of the story was, he said, when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was a stranger, you welcomed me. When I was in prison, you came to visit me. And then all of those who he was speaking to, the sheep, said, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food? Or when was it that we saw you thirsty and gave you something to drink, or a stranger, or in prison? When did all of that happen? What does he say? Whenever you did this to the least, you did it to me. Not to Jesus the person, but to the Christ, to the Buddha nature, to the illumined self within each one of us. That's what Namaste is. We're giving to that, the highest. You know, the truth is we are all the same in that experience. And of course, it's like we have two ears. We have the ego ear and the spirit ear. The ego ear hears that we're all the same, and it points to the lowest common denominator and says, you mean we're all the same as that? But the spirit hears that and says, no, we're all the same as that. The Christ, the Buddha. We're all the same as that. So this is what Jesus was saying, that whenever you did this to even the least of my brothers or sisters, you did it to the Christ, you did it to me. That is such a beautiful non-dual teaching. So what I did was I ended up writing something that was related to that I put up on Facebook yesterday. I don't know if any of you saw it or not. I'm going to read it toward the end of the session, but first I wanted to read a few of the responses to this, okay? And then we'll hear what it was that I wrote. Because this is very interesting. For example, one said, according to ACIM, great way to start, according to A Course in Miracles, my perception of this indicates my belief that something other than love exists. And it is my mind that needs healing. It's very true. That is a statement of truth. Okay? Here's another one. If there is no world, then there's no one outside to be saved. Once again, true. And, see, there's going to be an and after all of, not a but, because a but we all have a big but sometimes, don't we? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to look at you when I said that. But is an opposition, but and means like, let's look at this and let's include more. Here's another one. If you want to save people, simply realize that the people that you think need saving are aspects of yourself, and then change your mind. It's a statement of truth. It's a statement of truth. And this is where it gets a little tricky, because saying those words mean nothing. I'm sure we've all had an experience like this. I remember when Linda was killed, and we were at her funeral, and I was very grateful that my dear friend Neil Donald Walsh came, and he stood with me the whole time, and he was right with me in that moment. And someone came up and they said, "Oh, when you get over this, blah, blah, blah. When you get over this." And I said, "This is not something you get over." And Neil said something that I've never forgotten. He said, "That's right, you'll never get over this. But there will come a day where it's no longer over you." And that's proven to be true. Someone else came up to me and they said, "So why do you think Linda created this?" It took a lot. Take a deep breath. And we hear people say things like, it's very similar to some of these things. According to ACIM, my perception, okay, there's a my involved here, there's an I involved here. My perception of that, of what I'm going to share here in a moment, indicates my belief, see where this is going? That something other than love exists, so the only thing that needs to change is my mind. Okay, a very true statement. But it's also rather flippant. And it's also rather naive. Because without the experience of that, they are just words. And we love to throw around words. We love to throw around concepts. We love to quote A Course in Miracles or other sacred texts and say, well, it says this. But unless we have an experience of that, it means nothing. So what is it that we need for the experience of that? Well, we need compassion. Compassion is a key. These are all keys. Humility. That's very important. And finally, service. Our willingness to serve, to be of service to others, especially those in need. Coming up to someone who, say, just lost their house in the Los Angeles fire, or just lost a loved one in a mass shooting, and saying something flippant. Well, A Course in Miracles says that blah, blah, blah. Not helpful. And what does Jesus say in A Course in Miracles? He says, I'm here to be truly helpful. That's our prayer, to be truly helpful. And in order to be truly helpful, we have to have compassion for our brothers and our sisters. Not look at them and say, well, it's just all in your mind. You just need to change your mind. Even though that's true, right? It's not helpful in that moment. Or you have to have humility. We have to have patience. Yesterday I watched that beautiful, beautiful homily that was given by Bishop Buddy at the National Cathedral in Washington. Of course, I'd heard about it and the uproar about it and everything that people were saying. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was absolutely perfect. If you haven't watched her whole homily, watch it. And she was simply calling for mercy. And you know what people say? That wasn't the right time. That wasn't the right time to call for mercy. What is the right time to call for mercy? There's no wrong time to call for mercy. Once again, compassion, humility, and service. So, you want to hear what it was that I posted that got all this energy going? Okay, this is what I posted. It's a bit direct, okay? But I don't believe this is critical. I believe it's clear. There's a difference. It's simply a clear statement. And in the post on Facebook, I think I put something like, not my words, but his. In other words, this is what Jesus said, not me. So if you're going to argue with someone, don't argue with me. I'm not the one who said this, okay? Here it is. Any country that prioritizes its national agenda over the gospel call to feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, and welcome the stranger cannot call itself a Christian nation. Likewise, I'm not done. Claiming to be a Christian while doing the opposite of what Jesus asked us to do is like calling yourself a lifeguard, but letting a struggling swimmer drown. Or claiming to be a vegan who eats steak at every meal. It simply doesn't make sense. Once again, clear. This is not. It's not pointing the finger at anyone or any group really. It's pointing it's ultimately for me to be clear that okay. So I am an Episcopal priest, So I'm supposed to talk about this stuff, right? This is what he is attributed to have said. And we can gloss over it and claim some kind of weird nationalist theology, which is all bullshit. Sorry, I got a little judgmental there. I suddenly felt that come up. But it is. Or we can simply do what he said. And what every other enlightened being has said. Compassion. Love everyone, no matter what. If you remember, Jesus only really, in the end, gave one commandment. Do you remember what it was? To love one another. Love one another as I have loved you. That's how they're going to know that you're with me. That's how they'll know that you're my friend. By the way that you love one another. So before I bring Vicky on, I want to share a song that's about that. You're going to recognize the tune, but the words are a little different. A new command. A new command do I offer you. Love one another as I have loved you. By this they'll know you are my friends. Then Peter asks, Lord, will you soon be leaving us? For without you, Lord, who can we trust? Without you, Lord, who can we trust? Where new command do I offer you. Love one another as I have loved you. By this they'll know you are my friends. Where I go, you cannot go now, but soon will be. But Lord, I want to follow you soon. Please don't leave me. A new command, a new command do I offer you. Love one another as I have loved you. By this they'll know you are my friend. So that's how simple this can be. I didn't say it, so don't blame me. All right, my dear Vicky, take it away.
Okay, Brother James. And I just want to mention, oops, I have an echo there. It's nice to see Ravi. Namaste. Are we good? Okay. Can you hear me now? Good? Okay. Anyway, that was a beautiful post. It was very heartwarming and motivating. And what is it motivating to? Ultimately, it's simple because it is up to each one of us. When I see myself in distress, my family in distress, my extended family, my country, the world in distress, it absolutely brings us to our knees, just like in your personal experience, James, with Linda. It really brings us to our knees. But along with bring us to our knees, compassion opens best with humility, not with arrogance. I know what to do. I know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And that kind of humility is a defenselessness that leaves me open. I'm looking at a situation in my family and I don't know what to do, whether it's my family or the family of the world, what looks like the world, it's still the same. My response is to defend or protect, and that's not helpful. Love doesn't abide where there's any division, any division. Love flourishes and abides where there's wholeness, where there's receptivity, where I am the peace that passes that understanding. And peace only blooms in each of us as I give up that idea that there's a conflict outside of me. So at least I know to bring it home. And I have to bring it to this inner space of prayer. Help. This Calico's prayer. Help. Simple as that. And then the next step with I really don't know how to help comes trust. If I'm asking for help somewhere, if I don't trust that there is an answer of wholeness, of love, then I'm tense again. I'm in the way. Every bit of tension, every bit of anger and resentfulness maintains the problem. And one of the issues is for us to delay help. Jesus says, delay in time is tragic. It's tragic to see our brothers and sisters hungry or lost or homeless or sad in any way. But our answer is to live in the answer. And in the answer means opening and trusting that that God's in charge and there's a plan. And the only way I'm the receiver of the plan is if I catch and am mindful of where I tense up, whether I swear or yell or, run picket signs. If I'm in tension, I'm adding to the problem, even though I might be bringing a beggar a bowl of food. This is, this is the mystic's way. This is the way of what we have been called to. I ask, please, how can I be truly helpful? I have no idea. But the guidance that comes from trusting that there is one that answers me and one that guides me, trusting the inspiration it brings. If it brings an inspiration to go and make a shelter and bring in 1,000 people, I must follow it. I must. Because if I don't, I'm in resistance again and I'm part of the problem. If I follow the inspiration, and the inspiration may well be start singing. Start singing. It may well be that. I went one day to a dear sister that some of you know, Claire, and she had had a double mastectomy. And she called and said, you have to come. So I went. And what do you say to someone that's devastated physically? You don't. And I got this inspiration. I said, help. And the inspiration was start singing. And I did. I said, Claire, I think we're supposed to start singing. And Claire said, okay. And neither of us can hold a tune. We started singing. And I was there a week and we sang every day, all day. God bless Steve, her husband, who does hold a tune. He brought out his ukulele and he played for us. And I started singing, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. And we sang for the whole week. And even during the week, within a few days, Claire was up and at him. We were buying new clothes. She was in her new life. Because when we hit a pitch of true peace that comes from trust and from inspiration and from asking, it is inevitable that we become literally instruments of peace. And whatever flows from that will bring peace. Whether we ever leave our home, if we're an anchorite and we never leave cave, or we're out in. So that's what I would say to Brother James.
That was perfect. First, I want to say that I've known you for well over 30 years and I've never once heard you swear. So, and I'm so glad that you brought that up because it is about following the guidance, not adding to, but helping it dissolve. And that can only happen when we follow the guidance. But just being flippant with our quotations is not following guidance. Or, I mean, I don't know if it is or not, to say the truth. But I do know that when I'm feeling the guidance to move, to serve, to help in some way, there's a very different feeling than when I'm doing that from my own motivation, my anger, my whatever it might be. But still, we are here to serve one another, to love one another, and it's that opens it up within, opens the experience. It's through that giving that we receive. It's through that loving that we are loved. So Calico, why don't you take us home? It's Tuesday Market. She's probably on her way down here now. Is she coming? Well, I tell you what, Scott, why don't you come and take us home then? We've got your guitar right behind us. Oh, here she comes. Sorry, Calico, we were a little late on the updraw. All right. Anything you want to share, Calico? Anything you want to share, Calico?
It's all about trust.
It's all about trust. Amen. Okay, take it away.
What do you got, as far as a theme or an opening line?
It's all about trust. Yeah, let's go with that.
All right. Your ego calls it chaos. Your spirit calls it God's plan. It's all uncertain. Time to reach out your hand. Show the world what it's like to trust life like a child. Let your nervous system unwind and simply smile. It's simple as can be. It's our love's ministry. It's so simple you can overlook or dismiss. But it's the key to peace and your happiness. Father, take my chaotic thoughts, my jumble of fears. I don't worship them anymore. It's time for them to clear. Clarity has come, and the morning sun shone away my fears. It's all about trust. Don't try to drive your own bus. Just let yourself trust.
So trust the guidance, whatever it says, follow. And to that we say, Amen, 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 e punto. Much love to you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.